Hey guys, this is Mistress Nightmare here, and today we'll be reading chapter 9 of The Killer's Baby. Before we get started, please hit that like button, comment, subscribe to this channel if you guys want more creepypasta fanfictions out there. Until then, let's get started. I was at home getting ready for work. I finally was able to get permission from Slender to go ahead to go to work. I was a little upset when he told me I couldn't go to work for a few weeks, but I managed to persuade him with a deal. The deal is that I can go to work if I allow Jeff to leave the house whenever and however long he wants without any complications or comments or complaints. Slenderman stopped to think for a few seconds, then looked right back at me. "One more condition," he said, with an obvious glare, even though he doesn't have a face. It was obvious to tell that kind of emotion when he was using. "And what is that one condition?" I asked curiously. "You allow me to send one of my proxies to watch over you while you work." Thinking about it, it was kind of a wonder which proxy that he would send or watch over me, since I was kind of secretly hoping it would be Toby. I mean, he's seriously really fun to be around and super energetic. I shrugged my shoulders, hoping it's not Maddie. I mean, he's a great guy, but he doesn't know how to chill. He's always working and complaining about everything, being too loud when he's trying to get something done, like he's like a mom. I got dressed with my work uniform and I put my black hair up in a bun. I was looked into the mirror once more before turning around and walking at the door to see the one and only love of mine, Jeffrey Woods. He walked over to me and wrapped his arms around me. I looked at him with a smile, wondering what's gotten into him all of a sudden. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I just don't want you to go to work right now." "I have no choice. I missed 3 weeks of work. I'm supposed to be going back to what weeks ago. I only have a reason that I haven't gotten fired yet because my best friend has been covering for me, and she still wants to meet the father of my child that suddenly knocked me up," I said with a huff. He stared at me, but only for a moment before kissing my cheek and letting me go. "You better be good and be careful this time. I don't want you to get hurt again." I stopped and stared at Jeff, remembering the 3 times a week ago my ex-manager almost did. I didn't want to think about it anymore, so I shook my head and smiled at Jeff. "I'll be careful." He looked at me with a smile. Well, of course, he's always smiling on his face, but I can tell he was actually genuinely caring. I walked out of the bathroom and put on my shoes and walked out the door. I waved to him and he goes to my car. I go to my car and drive to work. While I was driving off, I can see Jeff staring at the window, holding Jeffrey the kitten. I chuckled a little, imagining when one time I came home from my best friend's house to see Jeffrey and Jeff on the couch sleeping. Jeffrey was laying on Jeff's stomach as they were both fast asleep, not caring that I was home. When I got to work, when I walked behind the counter, I saw the one and only Masky. He noticed me quickly and goes back to the customers. All I did was roll my eyes and walked over to put my things in my locker. I walked back to the counter and take orders of the strange customer. The way he stood and looked like his eyes kind of gave me that creeps. What was that stare? Is he dead? As he had died with red locks, pretty cool, but still strange things. He was wearing a red contacts, but his eyes seemed to be real. I shrugged it off and took his order. As I was trying typing down his orders, I could feel his eyes on me. He was giving me the chills. I made him his coffee and handed to him so he can wait for his coffee cake. When I finished taking his order, he didn't move, but just stared at me and smirked and spoke. "You're pregnant, aren't you?" I flinched a little. I wasn't even showing at all. How can he tell? "Yeah, I am. How do you know?" He smiled, but that smile was kind of creepy. "I'm a doctor, dear. Most women I find, when they are only a few weeks pregnant, usually gets kind of pale." He turns around and walks away for his cake. When his cake came out, I handed it to him as I was accidentally touching his hand. They were cold as ice or dead. But after a few minutes, I realized we were just standing there, and he was still staring at me, smiling that creepy smile. After a few seconds, his hand felt like fire. I pulled away, and he smirked. Then he thanks me and leaves. I walked back to the counter to see Masky staring at me. I looked back at him. "Did you get the same feeling about him?" Masky nodded. At the end of the day, I went home immediately because when I left for work, I still feel like someone was watching me or something was watching me. I immediately went back inside the house, then closed and locked all the doors and windows. I went to search around the house for Jeff, hoping that he was home. And I saw Jeffrey on my dresser laying down on his little kitty bed. I carefully picked him up and laid him on my bed, with him on my chest. I began to fall asleep only a few minutes. I was immediately waken up right when I heard noises coming from the kitchen. At first, I thought it was Jeff, but I remembered I locked all the windows and doors. I carefully got up and went to check out what was making that sound. I grabbed a baseball bat that I had just in case of a break-in, carefully snapped everything in place. I carefully snuck into the kitchen. Peeking over the counter, I saw the same man from earlier, but this time he was taller, and his eyes were more evil than earlier. This time he had a tail and devil horns. I quickly tried to make my way back to the room without making any noise, but I turned around and bumped into something. I looked up to see what it was. It was the man. He was no longer in the kitchen, but standing right in front of me with that huge, creepy smile on his face. Well, what do we have here? Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I'm glad. If you want more Ben Drowned love stories, check out the playlist that will be popping up soon. Also, if you want any more fanfictions narrations, please check out my other channel, Reading with Blade, which has multiple fanfictions up already. If you are interested in the yaoi experience, check out Tyler O'Connell's channel if you want to go there. But note that channel is only 18 and up. I've been listening to Tyler's stories and I'm addicted to them. Until then, bye guys!